الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا وخليلنا محمد صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز وفرقانه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنك لعلى خلق عظيم صدق الله العظيم. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المرء مع من أحب، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Respected brothers, sisters, youngsters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is truly from our love for Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that on a Friday night where people actually want to go out, have plans, go out, eat somewhere, go to a park, have fun, have some enjoyment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the success. Allah has given us the tawfiq to be here and to hear about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today, inshallah, this will not be that long, as well as we're currently, I'm not feeling that well as well. But the approach will be, the talk will be a little bit different, inshallah. Usually, we hear about the seerat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but we don't hear much about the looks of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We see the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam practically shown through his actions, but we're unaware of the physical beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We rarely get to hear this. In every hadith book, bil khusus Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah in his Sunan Tirmidhi at the ending, they have attached a book of his, which is called Shama'il of Nabi. It has around 400 hadiths, 300 somewhat hadiths in there, talking about the Shama'il, the features, the beauty and the perfection of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ulama have written, when we study the sirat, and before we study the sirat, we learn the Shama'il, the looks of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this will have a lot of benefit in it, a lot of benefit for us. Not only will our love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam increase, and then therefore our iman increasing, but there's a high chance that we will see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our dream. That's why in the Dora Hadithia, when you're studying the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our mashayikh, they put once again the Shama'il of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, that you get to read how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, and many of times this increases your love in your heart for Rasulullah. You depict some type of picture, but you can't really imagine him because you have never seen him. So you depict some type of picture in your brain about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the outcome of this is you get to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your dreams. Maybe some of us have already seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our dream. Maybe we've seen him before. Maybe we've seen him after. Maybe the kids have seen him. But this, when we see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our dream, it is actually Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our dream. Shaitan cannot take the surah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He cannot come in the physical, or he cannot come in the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your dream. It is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but that's a different topic of its own. Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam, He once said, Ya Rasulullah, O the Messenger of Allah, قَلَّبْتُ مَشَارِقَ الْأَرْضِ وَمَغَارِبَهَا. I have traveled, I have seen the entire world, Mashriq of it, the east and the west, I've seen everywhere. I've roamed around everywhere on this earth. فَلَمْ أَجِدْ رَجُلًا. I have not found any man أفضل من محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. I have not found any man to be more better than Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Testimony from Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal praises Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in multiple of places in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the khuluq azim of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the great character and the great characteristics and features of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Surah Al-Qalam, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Indeed you are upon the magnificent khuluq, magnificent character and the magnificent characteristics. We will study the hadith of Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu. But to summarize the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the ending of that hadith, he quotes one thing. And he says that in summary, the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the description of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in the following words. لَمْ أَرَ قَبْلَهُ وَلَا بَعْدَهُ مِثْلَهُ. So the people that describe the Prophet ﷺ, at the ending they all say, they use high Arabic words, the words that are studied, that they use, the Sahaba have used to describe, they're one of the high. It takes so many days just to research these words, the Arabic words that they use to describe Rasulullah ﷺ. Every word has fine meaning behind it. In this 20, 30, 40 minutes we cannot uncover all of the in-depth meaning of each word. We will try giving some of it. But the summary is, لَمَ أَرَ قَبْلَهُ وَلَا بَعْدَهُ مِثْلَهُ. We have not seen anyone like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from before him nor after him. No one has ever existed like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, the poet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the great Sahabi, and he says in his famous poem, وَأَحْسَنَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَ قَطُّ عَيْنِي وَأَحْسَنَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَ قَطُّ عَيْنِي وَأَجْمَلَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَلِدِ النِّسَاءُ خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ خُلِقْتَ كَمَا تَشَاءُ. He describes that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is bi'ayb. The summary is that Rasulullah has no defects. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I look in the mirror, I will realize that one part of my eye is bigger than the other. That there's some type of flaw in this part of my cheeks. There's a flaw in my nose. People are not happy with what they see when they look at themselves in the mirror. I mean, that's not what the teachings of Islam is. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was bi'ayb, without any defect. Hassan bin Thabit says, and more beautiful than you, no eyes has ever seen. Ya Rasulullah, no one is more beautiful than you. No mothers have given birth to any child more handsome than you. وَأَجْمَلَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَلِدِ النِّسَاءُ خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ. You have been created free from all sorts of ayb, as if you have been created how you wanted to be created. This is why I remember one of our ustaz would say, Rabbe Muhammad ne Muhammad se pucha. Rabbe Muhammad ne Muhammad se pucha. E mere Nabi, tujhe kaise banao. And this is how Allah Azza wa Jal made Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As if, not that he didn't, as if. This is what Hassan bin Thabit is saying. خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ خُلِقْتَ كَمَا تَشَاءُ. As if you've been created however you wanted. Ya Allah, I want this type of beautiful eyes. Ya Allah, I want this type of beautiful hair. I want this type of broad shoulders, strong hands and strong feet. As if he, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, chose exactly how he wanted to be. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to understand, he was akmalul khalq and أكمل الخلق. He was the most complete when it came to his being, and he was the most complete when it came to his character. From his character, he's the best, and from his surah, he's the best. From his physical appearance, he's the best. Hazrat Barra radiallahu anhu says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أحسن الناس وجها. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the most beautiful in terms of face. Yani, if you were to look at anyone's face, the most handsome was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then Ali radiallahu anhu says, Anas radiallahu anhu says that there was no one more perfect and more beautiful in character than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Listen to this. During migration, the Quraysh were after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. During Hijrah, the Quraysh, they were after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the Prophet with who? Abu Bakr. And then they had a Dalil, a guide, and one of the slaves of Abu Bakr was with them, Khadim. So the Khadim was quite far away, but the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Abu Bakr, and the navigator, which we call Dalil, the guide, to guide them from Makkah in a different route to go to Medina Munawwara. But the Quraysh are after him, searching for him. So while this is happening on the way, they're thirsty and hungry. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Abu Bakr and this guy, navigator, they stop by this one Bedouin old lady. They have their tents placed in the outskirts. They're very hungry. So they say, "Oh mother, do you have any food, anything to drink?" She responds and she says that no, we have nothing to eat. Do you have anything to drink? Perhaps milk? Rasulullah says, we'll pay you for it. We'll give you money for it. He's fair. He doesn't want free gifts. Nowadays some of us, we expect free gifts. But Rasulullah, he is there and he says, we'll pay you for it. Don't expect this to be free service. We'll pay for it. She responded, you see, my husband is not around. And her name was Ma'bad. Her name was Ma'bad. Abu Ma'bad is not around. He went to get milks. Unfortunately, all of our camels, all of our goats, they're very weak and lean. They're not fat and they cannot give milk. And I don't have anything but this goat over here, this animal over here. And subhanAllah, looking at the animal, so weak, thin. It cannot even it can't even walk properly. Forget about giving milk or taking milk from it. Then Rasulullah says, grandmother, oh mother, do you allow me to extract milk from it? And she says, if you want to, go try. There's no way there can be milk coming out of this goat. Then she's watching Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She has no clue this is Rasulullah. Because if she knew, she'd probably tell the Quraysh, Rasulullah is here, come capture him. She didn't know this is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she sees the Prophet, his beautiful character, the way how he is with Abu Bakr, the way how that guide is, the navigator is, the way how everyone loves the Prophet ﷺ, the way how he presents himself, the way how he walks, how he talks. So she's seeing all of this. This old lady is seeing all of this. She sees Rasulullah ﷺ go to this goat and he starts milking. And with the will of Allah, he milks so much from it that the entire container is filled. First thing first, Rasulullah takes it and gives it to her, drink. Ba'ba, drink. She's like, where did you get this from? And she's astonished. And she drinks from it. Takes the bowl back, milks it again. Rasulullah gives it to Abu Bakr and that guy, you guys drink from it. Then Rasulullah milks it, he drinks from it. And then at the ending, when he's about to leave, he milks it again and gives it to Ba'ba. Here you go, take this. And then this is for you. And Ba'ba is shocked. And Rasulullah leaves and he continues on his hijrah to go to Medina Munawwara, and the Quraysh are after him. Later on, Abu Ma'bad comes and he comes back with no success. He went to graze the animal, comes back, not much food he has. But when he comes back, he finds milk. He's like, Ma'bad, where did you get this from? Oh, Ma'bad, where did you get this from? She said, and he says, this goat cannot produce any milk. What happened? Who gave you this? And then she says that a beautiful man had come. Such an amazing man, no one is in match with his character. And then Abu Ma'bad says, O Ma'bad, explain to me this man. Explain to me this man. And then Ma'bad starts with the whole, you can say an essay, 2 paragraphs in Arabic, and one of the hardest words to decode in Arabic, describing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who this man was. She doesn't know it's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she starts off. She tells him, I saw a man whose beauty was clear. His forehead was luminous and shining. And his Mubarak face gave a lot of nur, a lot of light. Sometimes you see people like this. You look at them, you love looking at them. There's a lot of nur coming out of their face. He was of handsome disposition, extremely handsome. He was well defined, without having a protruding stomach, like some of us do, including myself a little bit nowadays. Where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his stomach was not protruding. It was in line with his chest, Mubarak, the stomach of Rasulullah. She even saw this much details about him. He was not small-headed. Rather, he was handsome, and all of his features were well sized, proportionate, according to his body size. His eyes were very wide. His eyes were very wide, sign of beauty. You know, small eyes, the women say, ew, he has small eyes. But big eyes is a sign of beauty. That's what Huri'een, big-eyed damsels, is a sign of beauty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had big eyes, wide eyes. And his eye color was extremely dark. There is no black color in eyes. But when it's dark brown, it looks like it's black. She says his Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eyes, it was extremely dark. His eyelashes were long. I'm not reading the Arabic, it will take forever to read the Arabic and then the English. His eyelashes were long. And this is also a sign of beauty. When women, what do nowadays? When they go to parties, they put on fake eyelashes. And then when the men see them without hijab on, without niqab on, like, wow, so beautiful. But when they come home, or then you see them without the eyelashes, without the makeup, they're like, oh, subhanallah, it's different. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was built like this. He was built like this. Eyelashes, beautiful big eyelashes. His voice was clear and manly. And then his neck was slender. His beard was dense and curly and thick. It was very thick. It wasn't fully straight, but it had some curls in it, the beard of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What about the color of the Rasulullah's beard? It was very dark. Some Sahaba says around 17 pieces. This is how much they love Rasulullah. 17 pieces of white hair. 17 pieces. Some Sahaba say around 20 pieces. Can you imagine that? Who will ever count my beard? This is how much Sahaba loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They will literally count the whiteness in his beard. Whiteness of his beard. No one will ever, not even your son, no matter how much he loves you, will ever count the whiteness in your beard, or how many pieces of white hair do you have in your beard. Right? They love you, but they won't look at you that much. But Sahaba Ikram even counted the beard of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this Ma'bad continues, and Ma'bad says that his eyebrows were thin and naturally arched. People nowadays, they spend a lot on cosmetics, and they go a lot on changing their eyebrows because they want to look beautiful, even though they're not allowed to do that. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made like that. She continues, she knows all of this things, the beauty marks and the beauty points. So she's saying his eyebrows were thin, and his eyebrows over here, this was empty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have joining eyebrows. Over here was no hair. So nice, beautiful, thin eyebrows, and on top of that, it didn't have any hair over here. This place of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was open. She says he was so majestic in his beauty, the most handsome of man that I have ever seen, and even more handsome than you. The most handsome of man that I have ever seen in my life. Dazzling from afar. When you look at him from far, full of ru'b. Someone just came right now, and everyone straightens up. It's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his speech would flow very smooth. He was of average height. He was not, a different narration has, he was not tall, nor was he short. Rasulullah was average. So if he was with people that were tall, Rasulullah wouldn't look short compared to them. But when he was with people that were short, Rasulullah would look tall. And he was darmiyana cut. His height was average height. And then she continues praising. His companions would surround him. When he spoke, they listened attentively. And when he commanded, they would rush to fulfill his command. He was well served by his companion. He was well liked. They did not frown on him, and they loved him, and they did not belittle one another. And after praising him with different more words, I just give a small summary of this. And then Abu Ma'bad says, "Oh Ma'bad, this is the man that the Quraysh is looking for. This is the man that the Quraysh is looking for. He has a bounty on his head. Are you saying that Muhammad was with you?" She says, "I don't know who this man was, but whoever he was, as I have described him right now, the most beautiful man that I have seen." Now, I will go to one hadith of Ali radiallahu anhu. I was planning on doing two hadiths, but I'll just do one hadith and make this short, inshallah. Ali radiallahu anhu, he describes Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Before we go to this final description of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, keep in mind that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, however he was, he had an impact on people. His looks was like that. His speech was like that. And most importantly, his akhlaq was like that. If there's something that we should learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, of course we cannot be like him physically. Can we be like him physically? There's no way we can physically be like Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because Allah made him a certain way, Allah made us a certain way. We can try following his sunnah, but there's one thing we should take back from the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is his akhlaq, his character, and the power of character. One salam will change the person in front of you. It has been mentioned, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, anyone he would meet, whoever he was, youngsters, adults, elders, he would always say, "Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh," and he would smile at them. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Allah says, Allah told the Prophet, if you were to be very tough and rough, some of us want to be tough and rough, we're not approachable, and we want to be stiff, hard-hearted. Allah told Rasulullah, if you were like this, the people around you would have ran away from you. But the Prophet ﷺ was not like this. The Prophet ﷺ was ra'ufun bil mu'mineen, rahimun bil mu'mineen. He was very kind and compassionate. To such an extent, this one leader, his name was Thumama radiyallahu anhu. At that time, he was a leader of Banu Hanifa. Thumama radiyallahu anhu, he hated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet sent letters to different monarchs, to different tribal leaders that accept Islam, Thumama got this letter, he ripped it apart and he said, "I can't wait to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." This was his intention. Thumama radiyallahu anhu. So one day Thumama, he's coming to Makkah to perform his pilgrimage, however they do it. The mushrik way, polytheistic way. The Sahabas, they were patrolling around Medina. So they ended up capturing Thumama radiallahu anhu. They take Thumama and they bring Thumama to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they tie Thumama in a pillar inside the masjid. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes and he looks and he finds out, this is Thumama. Oh Sahaba, you know what you have done? You have captured Thumama. He's one of the chieftain, one of the leaders of this Banu Hanifa tribe. You have captured one of their leaders. Good job, Sahaba. So Thumama is tied there. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells his household members that prepare food. Whatever food I have in my house, give this to me. Whatever water I have, bring this to me. He tells the Sahaba, listen, he's a prisoner, but make sure you give him food on time. He's a prisoner, make sure you give him water on time. So Mama, with that arrogance, because he's a leader also, with all of that pride and kibr and his hate against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's tied to one pillar inside the masjid. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the first time comes And Thumama radiallahu anhu, I say radiallahu anhu because you'll find out why. Thumama radiallahu anhu sees him for the first time. And he's awe-stricken. And this man, this is Muhammad. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam treats him so nice. Gives him food, gives him water. And the Prophet then says, day one, O Thumama Mabik, O Thumama, how are you? What's up with you, O Thumama? Thumama says that everything with me is good. O Muhammad, if you were to kill me, you're killing a man whose blood is very honorable. Yani, I'm a leader. If you kill me, my tribe is going to come after you. But if you forgive me, and if you were to do a favor by releasing me, I will give you the amount of wealth that you name me. This is the type of man I am. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in front of this arrogance, he doesn't do anything. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When arrogant people come, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would walk away, say salam, just laugh, and that's it. No need to continue the arrogance with him. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, no problem. Enjoy the moment. Rasulullah leaves. The next day, he comes again. The same conversation with Thumama. Thumama responds the same way. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives him food and water. Tells the Sahaba, oh my Sahaba, take care of Thumama. He's a prisoner, he's our guest, take care of him. And then that's it. Thumama is now seeing this. In these 2 days, the Prophet's, in my understanding, idea was that let him see the akhlaq of Sahaba. Let him see the akhlaq of the Muslims. Let him see the Muslims praying in the Masjid. Let him see the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He only saw Rasulullah twice, but he saw Sahaba all day long. Let him see this, because this will penetrate his heart. The third day again, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes and he says, "Ma bika ya Thumama." Thumama says, "Everything with me is good." And the same wording Thumama repeats. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiles at him, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Oh my Sahaba, atliq Thumama." Release Thumama. That's it. Let him go. Thumama is in shock now. What? This Muhammad who captured me, I hate him. I have a plan on killing him. He's releasing me? And then Thumama leaves the masjid and he goes. And he goes away. He goes to a place where he's able to do wudu, or whatever wudu he thinks is wudu. He cleans himself. He comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he says, "Ya Rasulullah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu annaka Rasulullah." Ya Rasulullah, I bear witness from kufr to iman just by being in the suhbat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Jamal Muhammad, Kamal Muhammad had penetrated his heart. Anyone who is not biased, is impartial, just reading the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will change your life. Will make you accept Islam. Reading about Sahaba, Abu Bakr, Umar, these were the miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will change his life. He says, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu annaka Rasulullah." And then he says, "Ya Rasulullah, Wallahi," and these words are amazing. "Wallahi, your face was the most hated face to me. But right now, your face is the most loved face to me, Ya Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, Islam, your religion, was the most hated religion to me. But Ya Rasulullah, right now, Islam is the most beloved religion to me." And he starts crying in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the power of akhlaq. And this is what we need to adopt. We cannot adopt the physical features of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we should study them so we can love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we can adopt the akhlaq of Rasulullah, the divine character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is what the sunnah and this kitabs teach us as well. I'll end off quickly with the hadith of Ali radiallahu anhu. There's also another hadith by Hussein radiallahu anhu, the grandson of Rasulullah. He really wanted to know his grandfather. So he asked his uncle, "Oh my uncle, describe to me Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." And there's a 1-page long essay about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Students of knowledge, they will study it and they will become afraid of the Arabic that is used. But this hadith of Ali is short, and inshallah I'll go over it right now. Ali radiallahu anhu says, when he would describe Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I end off after this, final description of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you can depict them however you want in your imagination, inshallah. He says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lam yakun bit-tawil al-mumaghad. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam he was not extremely tall. وَلَا بِالْقَصِيرِ الْمُتَرَدِّدِ, nor was he extremely short. وَكَانَ رَبَعَةً مِنَ الْقَوْمِ, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was average height. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ بِالْجَعْدِ الْقَطِبِ, the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not curly. It wasn't curly hair. Nor was the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bisabt, nor was it straight. Some people, they have straight hair, some people have curly hair. But the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was slightly wavy. كَانَ بِالْجَعْدِ جَعْدًا رَجِلًا, it was slightly wavy. It was in between. And it had a wave to it. Mubarak hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would usually be up this big, up until his earlobes. Sometimes it will be beyond that, up until his neck. And sometimes it will be beyond the neck when he would go to war. When he would go to war, he would grow out his hair further. Put a helmet on, and that hair can be seen. Usually his hair will be up to here, Mubarak sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He continues and he says, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ بِالْمُطَهَّمِ, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not fat. He did not have a belly that was protruding out, as we did in the other narration. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not fat. And he says he did not have a circular face. So his face was not circular. But Ali says it did have slight tadweer in it. It did have a little bit of circular face. A little bit, but it wasn't fully circled. And then he continues and he says, Abyadu mushrab, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was white. His skin complexion was white. But what type of white? Mushrab. Mushrab means it was mixed with redness. So it's not the pure white that we see sometimes. Sometimes we see a person who's pure white. But there's whiteness that has beauty to it. There's a different type of white. When you look at a person and his skin complexion is white and he has a little bit red mixed with it, that is sign of beauty. And that was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's skin complexion. Ali says, Ad'ajul aynayn. His eyes were very, very, very dark. The word adaj means black, but there's no black color in the eyes. It's actually dark blue. It looks like it's black. It's very, very dark. And the whiteness was very, very white. So there was no redness. It's a sign of beauty. Dark and white. He says, Ahdabul ashfar. He had long eyelashes, like we mentioned. His eyelashes was long. He says, Jalilul mushashi wal katib. He had large joints and broad shoulders, proportionate to his size that Allah made him. This is a sign of manliness. This is a sign of strength. This is a sign of beauty for men when their shoulders are large and mashallah their joints are big. And then ajradu du masrubatin. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have hair on his body. We have a lot of hair. We get chest hair. Rasulullah didn't have hair. The only thing Ali says he had there was a line of hair that went from his belly on all the way to his chest. Small, fine line. So you can envision it. Sometimes when we first start growing hair, we usually grow hair like that also. Right? It starts off from the belly. Small, thin, fine line of hair. It goes from his belly, his belly button, and goes all the way to the chest Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How does Ali know? He's seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They fought together, so he had definitely seen the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Shathnul kaffaini wal qadamain. The hand and the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were meaty and strong. They were tough. They were very rough. You can see it in them. When you see his hands, they weren't small. They were something big. And then he continues and said, إِذَا مَشَى تَقَلَّعًا كَأَنَّمَا يَنْحَطُ مِنْ صَبَبٍ. When the Prophet ﷺ would walk, he would walk with his head forward. He never walked like this. Nowadays we also have the big stomach with it. So when we walk like this. As we're someone big, the Prophet hated this. He was so mutawadi', so humble, that even in the way how he walked, he chose humility. This was the Prophet ﷺ. Bending forward and walking brisk. He walked quite fast. He wouldn't run, but it was quite fast. He wouldn't walk slow, nor chest out. Prophet ﷺ would walk like this, head a little bit down, and gazes on the floor. This was the walk of Rasulullah ﷺ. Ali radiallahu anhu continues and he says, إِذَا الْتَفَتَ إِلْتَفَتَ مَعًا. When the Prophet would turn, he would turn fully. When I'm talking to you, or you're talking to your friend, and your friend is to your right side, this is all we do. But the Prophet wouldn't do this. The Prophet would give you full attention. He would turn his entire body to you, just to speak to you. And if you were behind me and it says, Mufti Sahab, I would just do this and look at you and probably not even look and talk to you. But if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone's speaking to him behind him, iltafata ma'an, completely, he would turn around and start speaking to him. He would turn around fully and start speaking to him. This was the adab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Almost done. He says, بَيْنَ كَتِفَيْهِ خَاتَمُ النَّبُوَّةِ, between his shoulders was the seal of prophethood. So the seal of prophethood was between the shoulders of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The seal of prophethood was round, and there's a whole description about it. And it was something that was protruding above the skin. Some Sahabas felt it, that you can feel it. It had some type of mark in it. Khatamun Nabiyyin, mark on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's shoulder. It was a real mark. Sometimes we get the skin and we have some type of bump. So it was something similar to that, but obviously more beautiful, and it was a seal of prophethood. And then Hadith says, Ajwadun Nasi Sadra. He was the most generous, the most truthful, the most compassionate, the most soft, the best companion you could ever have was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever saw him unexpectedly, he became afraid. Became full of, afraid in the sense that he became full of awe. Let me keep myself composed when they first saw him. But like some people, when you look at them, like, oh, this guy looks very strict. Let me be careful around him. But when the people that knew him and they sat with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they loved him the most. They loved his suhbah. They loved him. And then he ends off and he says, "Lam ara qablahu wa la ba'dahu mithlahu." Every describers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they end off this way. They say, "We have never seen a man like Muhammad from before him, nor will there ever be a man like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after him." This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in my talk right now, "Ma in madahtu Muhammadan bi maqalati, walakin mudihat maqalati bi dhikri Muhammad." I did not praise Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through my talk. Instead, my talk, if it's praiseworthy, if it was liked, it is because I talked about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what the poet. This is what the poet said. I didn't praise Rasulullah. Instead, my talk has been praised. My writing is praised because I mentioned Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us tawfiq. There's so much more to say. There's so much more to comment. There's so many other points to talk about. But here, inshallah, we'll end off. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Any questions? We can quickly then start eating our dinner. Salat is in just 25 minutes. Any questions?